Hey everybody, how's it going? This is going to be kind of a different stream today, since I've never done any kind of photo editing stream or really streamed like what was on my computer screen. I hope this works and goes well. I'm just looking through these photos and seeing that it's not appearing on the stream. Maybe there's just a lag here for something, so there may need to be some... Yeah, I'm looking at the stream itself in a second version of, and it's like not showing the main screen. Well, if Jared is tuned in, maybe he can come and check this, because it's supposed to be showing a preview kind of like in the middle of the screen here, and it doesn't look like anything is showing, even though as I click through the photos it does change up here. So this is missing in your view because I'm looking at my monitor and I can see the larger version of this photo, so we might have to work that out before I can do anything on this stream. But thanks for showing up and wanting to look at photos and stuff that I'm going to be working on. Hopefully we can make this happen. Let me see what we can do about this. Anyway, I'm just like chilling hard because I just got home from Katsucon this past weekend and I've been working so much leading up to that and all of the stuff that I had going on for preparation, so I really wanted to just have like a relaxing time to sit and unwind and chat about Katsucon and show off some photos. So hopefully we can make that happen.
What's that?
Oh, I heard a notification. So this is not displaying properly. I don't know if it's OBS or something. Let me check that notification. Artful Jackalope, thank you so much for resubscribing for 5 months. Hopefully we can make the stream work for you.
Oh, weird.
Since you're here to see it. Yeah, so we are not able, in the stream itself, it is not showing the main screen here in the center of the program. And as I click through down here, it does change the preview on this side. For whatever reason, it's just not like rendering that.
Okay, I know what's happening. It's just a weird thing with OBS.
Okay.
So we'll have to just slightly adjust how this will look.
Jared is here to save the day, yay. So,
So the way I'm going to change this is that basically they're going to see your entire monitor.
Okay, so I'll be mindful. I won't click over to my porn.
Right, so if you want to check anything, make sure you're doing it all over here.
Okay, cool.
One sec.
I can do that. This. Hey everybody. Alright, Jared's gonna fix everything up and now you'll be able to see my entire screen, so hopefully there's nothing that you shouldn't be able to see. So I do not have 2 monitors, which is a shame, and I've never thought I needed one before right now. But that would actually be great if I could stack them. Anyway, so I have my main computer that I'm sitting in front of, and I have just like a laptop sitting next to me. So I'm reading the chat on the laptop, and so there might be a little bit of lag in my responses because I'm not able to see.
It'll look weird, but I'll fix it.
Oh wait, no, maybe not. Maybe not. Oh my gosh, Jared.
I said I'll fix it.
He's fixing it. He's fixing it. I have total confidence that he's gonna fix this. Jared does need a cape. Purple Elzier says, it definitely was awesome seeing the repurposing of that Samus costume. Thank you so much.
There you go. So now they should see everything on your monitor.
Okay.
So whenever you need to check your alerts or anything, make sure you just do it all over here.
Okay, I will do everything on my laptop.
Did have
Instead,
over here for you to do.
Okay, can we make that pop out?
Sure.
Well, I guess I don't really need, that's fine, because I don't need to look at this all the time. I just wanted to check it before I got started. Okay, cool. So, I'm literally sitting here between 2 computers. Oh, hey, Leoto, thank you so much for subscribing. So, forgive me if this is a little bit more awkward as I figure out how to make this setup work, but, so, yeah, these are the photos that I've picked out for us to look at today. They are kind of, I have about 27 right here, and so I'm just going to be kind of going through them, and we're starting off in Lightroom, and then I may switch over to Photoshop to edit certain things. So, oh, thank you, Zek Frost! Oh, my friend Zek Frost is here! Hi, Zek! Thanks for coming to my stream. I should adjust my, now you can see my OBS. I'm gonna take my desktop audio down a little bit. Wait, no, that's not what I want. I need to take it down in here. Hopefully that balances out a little bit. Now you can see everything that's going on behind the scenes. So that should mean that the alerts are a little bit louder, at least for me. I think that'll set up the balance for everybody. All right, thank you guys for bearing with me in my awkward setup as I figure everything out. Anyway, Katsucon was awesome, and these are the photos that I'm going to go through. So we are in Adobe Lightroom, which is a great program for editing a lot of photos at once, and basically I'm going to go through, adjust some settings on this photo, and then be able to apply that to other photos in succession and adjust as necessary. So Jared is the best. Alice of Carol says Jared's the best in the chat, and they're right, because Jared is awesome. Jared does so much for me. Not only does he like follow me around while I'm in costume and make sure I have, you know, snacks and stuff like that I get my bathroom breaks, and that I'm not, you know, that someone's there to help me get from point A to point B. He does all of that for me, but then he also takes photos for me from time to time. Unfortunately, we only shot Samus rather than also getting photos of Zelda, because I would have loved to have some Zelda photos, but we can still do that in the future. Anyway, we're both kind of just recently embarking on this photo journey. So I have a little bit more experience behind the camera, well, this particular type of camera for still photography. Jared has a lot more technical knowledge than me when it comes to videography, but for photography, I do have a little bit more training and a little bit more practice. So generally what happens is that I'll set up the camera settings and I put the lens on, and I like teach him how to, you know, adjust the shutter speed and stuff like that on the fly so that he can make changes as we're shooting. But that kind of stuff is primarily my job, and then Jared will point the camera at me, you know, come up with a composition, coach me through my posing, give me direction, like, you know, change your hand position or lift your chin or whatever, and he gives me those kinds of instructions. And so we work together to create these images, kind of with a combination of both of our knowledge. And so, yeah, neither one of us are experts. We are both just learning how to do this as we go, and I'm just gonna work on these and do my best with them. And oh, there's another notification. Zelda of Skyloft just subscribed. Thank you so much, and thank you. I'm glad to be back and streaming again. So yeah, I should probably stop at the lengthy explanation and just get down to business. But there's the context for like how these images were created. And like I said in my tweet leading into this, like, I'm not an expert. I don't necessarily know exactly the most about photo editing or taking photos either, but I'm learning, and we're all gonna see a little bit of that today. So this is the area where we are going to be working, primarily going through here, and all of these different tools adjust different things. And so the first thing that we're doing is cropping the image to show, like, to just kind of trim out a little bit of the unnecessary space and kind of adjust the way that the composition is balanced. I like this, and so I'm just gonna hit enter and go with that. There's a spot removal tool, which is great if you have like a pimple or something. Obviously my skin is covered in dirt and stuff, so I'm not trying to have like a perfectly clear complexion here, so there's really no need for that. Red eye correction is also not a problem, and I'm not going to be using any of these right now because they're a little bit more advanced. So the next thing that we're just going to basically be going down this whole panel. This is the white balance, which is currently, it was on auto when we were setting because we forgot to bring our like white balance card, which was our fault, rookie mistake. So yeah, let me check in with the chat over here. Hey everybody. Dr. John is saying, are tips okay? Would you prefer to just go for it my way? I think for now I want to just kind of explore and see what I can do, because I know my way around this program for the most part, and I think that at this point, like, the main thing I need is just like practice. So I appreciate if you have insight for me about like the theory or whatever, but I wouldn't necessarily want too much instruction because I do just kind of want to explore and go at it. But thank you for asking. That's very kind of you. Sorry, Army of Ancients got clobbered by Nightbot. I apologize for that. Hey everybody. So my apologies if I'm a little bit late in responding to the chat because I'm focused on my screen. But anyway, we've got temperature and tint over here, with which we can adjust white balance. And as I move these sliders, you can see how it affects the like the kind of the balance of that white, which I think that's probably about good. Hopefully my settings aren't too different from yours. Oh wait, no, they are. Haha. Before I'm gonna disable flux until sunrise. This is totally off. There we go. That changes things. So my monitor has, I actually think I have multiple ones of these off. So this is a setting that will make your monitor appear more orange later at night so that you can, it kind of helps with your eyesight, so it puts less strain on the eye. But before I get started editing, I need to turn that off so that I am looking at the true colors as they are displayed on my monitor and not influenced by that flux program. So that does change things. I do want to move these to different positions now. So there we go. There's my tint and temperature. Just some slight changes to try to make this white wall, the whites of this image, look totally white. There is an auto setting that I can hit on this, but a lot of the time it doesn't necessarily give me exactly what I want. I don't need to really adjust the exposure. The images that we shot are, a couple of them were kind of overexposed, and like the highlights were blown out, which I don't think. Some of them, this one especially, you can see that it's a little bit too bright, like there's just too much white. We're shooting in RAW, so we'll be able to fix that, I hope. We're gonna look at it today. But I want to avoid messing too much with the exposure because I know that in some of the cases it needs to be turned down. I'm gonna bring the contrast up to get us a little bit more crisp colors, but I don't want it to be too dark or harsh. I think that's pretty good. Highlights are already very, very light. There's so much light in the atrium. It's one of the highlights, literally, of Katsucon is that the area that we're shooting in just has so much natural light. It's this huge glass chamber, and the walls are white, and the floor is white marble, and so there's so much light coming at you from all directions, and it creates this beautiful environment for photos because it's just like the whole room is a giant reflector. So so yeah. I'm getting caught up with this. Anyway, so that's why the highlights are so lovely here. I can bring the shadows down a little bit to create a little bit more of that, which I kind of like that. I don't want it to be too dark, but I do want to create a nice like balance in this photo. And you can also do whites and blacks, which are just the very, very brightest tones in the image, which I think that bringing it up just a tiny bit is actually kind of nice because it does create that crisp, like bright white. I took a photography class in college that was a film photography class where we were like shooting with film and developing it ourselves in the Lightroom. I'm sorry, not Lightroom, in an actual Lightroom, not the program Lightroom, but a dark room rather. That's what I'm trying to say. Using, you know, trays of chemicals and moving the paper from one to another. So that is like, that's the photography that I was taught. But one of the principles of editing that the professor gave us was that at least in his view, a perfectly exposed photo should have like at least a tiny amount of pure white and a tiny amount of pure black. Now that is, I'm sure, you know, his opinion and not necessarily a hard and fast rule that every single photographer always needs to go with because everybody has their own style. But I kind of like that principle in that whatever the darkest tone is does just reach the pure black, and whatever the brightest tone is, I don't know, somewhere in here, does just barely reach the pure white, so that you are using the whole range of tones and values, rather. Tone is more color and value refers to light versus dark. So anyway, that's a lesson that has stuck with me, and it's something that I want to apply here. Clarity is going to, there you go. I'm just messing with these settings a little bit to kind of what's going on here. I don't want to mess with this too much. Turning the clarity up just barely can bring a little bit of sharpness to those colors and lines, which I like, but I don't want it to be to the point where everything looks like just like too grungy and too muddy. I think that's the opposite of clarity. And vibrance as well is a way that you can adjust color. That's super bright, and here it's all the way almost gray. So just to show you a little bit of how that goes. I'm sure I have like actual way better photographers watching this that are just like, oh my gosh, what is she even doing? But I'm trying to give explanations that those of you who might not know anything about photo editing can, I don't know, take something away from this. This is the tone curve, which is another way of adjusting kind of the balances between light and shadow throughout the image. And I feel like I've done that already with my other settings here, and I don't feel the need to adjust very much. I'm just kind of messing with it to see it, but I think this is shot really nicely. Like the exposure is good, the darkest tones are pretty dark, the brightest tones are pretty light, and the face and the detail is all evident, it's not in shadow. So those are like the main things that I look for when I'm going through here. Let me check in with the chat. I'm sure you guys are saying interesting things to me. Within One Tiger, working on or finished a handkerchief bonnet commission. That sounds cute. Yeah, I think that the lighting is pretty good to begin with in this photo. As we kind of went throughout the day, as the lighting conditions change in subtle ways, it kind of affects things, and some of the others are a little overexposed, but that's just, you know, that's just a part of it. Hey, there's a notification. Bob the Samurai, thank you so much for subscribing. For 8 months in a row. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm excited for Emerald City Comic Con. I absolutely am. It's going to be my first Washington State convention. I haven't been to any cons since I got here, and so I'm really looking forward to going and seeing the Washington Convention Center, which I hear is really cool, and making some new friends, cosplayers and photographers, and just kind of getting to know people in this area. Alright, back to over here. These are our hue sliders. It's all split up by different color families, and you can make adjustments to individual things. There's so little red in this photo, you can't even see what I'm doing. So let's take a look at the blue and how this can affect it pretty dramatically. I don't think that this is necessary for the most part because, again, the conditions are just so nice. In other photos where I'm on with different lighting outside during golden hour, I feel like I want to get more into kind of doing interesting things with the color balance and making those kinds of adjustments. But this type of photo with a white background or an almost white background and a lot of light, like, I think that this, I want to edit this in a way where it just stays very clear. And I just kind of like how that's going. There is a split toning option where you can basically decide to have your highlights tinted in a certain color. You can adjust your saturation and stuff. And as well as shadows. I don't like using that so much because I feel like it messes with the white balance when you're coloring, adding like a color filter to highlights. It can be done well, but I just think that that's something that I continually struggle with implementing. So I'm going to avoid that for now. There's lens corrections where basically you can you can tell it what kind of lens you're using, and then it will automatically make these adjustments to account for like distortion in the lens. This is also kind of just like a matter of taste. Now when I turn this on, you can see that like the edges of the photo become brighter, because one of the things that it's doing is that it's counterbalancing the natural vignetting of the vignette of the lens that I used, which we were shooting with a 50mm 1.4 aperture Canon lens. So this is a nifty 50 1.4. This has a really nice quality to it, and it's like it does have like a slight like vignette around the edges and not like an enormous amount of distortion. Like it's got a really nice kind of look to it, and so I don't really want to I don't want to correct that. I'm not trying to counterbalance it, because that's a part of the style that we like, or that I wanted to use. So I'm skipping over that. Oh wow, Army of Ancients just got the airbrush cleaning kit. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Yeah, we are slowly collecting all of the items I need to get an airbrush setup going, and then I can paint all of the things with the airbrush. Anyway, I'm probably talking too much, and I should just be getting through this. But part of me deciding what I want to do with this photo comes from just talking about it. So you'll have to bear with me talking a lot. This is another vignette. This is a vignette tool that can apply a vignette or kind of balance it out. I don't want to add too much of this because it does have a very, very slight vignette effect to it. A -2. I think that's probably just barely there, but not really changing the look of the photo, because I don't want to add too much shadow into it. Yeah, and so this is another area where you can kind of affect the way that the camera processes color. Let's see. Yeah, this is another way that it's gonna like adjust hues. Oh, that's kind of nice. It looks the blue's brighter. Let me see. This is at 0, and this is moving it up a little bit. I don't know. That could be nice. In fact, I do like it. All right. Well, I don't want it to be too much, but let's leave it about there, because I think that and we can turn it off and then on in order to like see the difference that it made. And I actually do kind of like it. I think it separates the two blues in a certain way, and it also seems like it is bringing out a little bit of the highlights in the shadows here. Yeah, that's kind of nice. I'm gonna turn it down just barely. Looking at it again, I do think that adds something. I don't know. To me, it also looks like it's a little bit closer to what the colors actually look like in real life. But anyway. Alice of Carroll says, I'm gonna love Emerald City Comic Con. That they went last year, had a blast. Going this year too. Awesome. Well, I hope I see you there. Come up and say hey if you see me there. Hey Rexus Fern, I'm doing really well. Anna's gonna fall asleep to my photo editing. Well, that's fine. So let's go over to the next photo now, and you can get a sense of how much our edit did, because these photos were taken right next to each other in the same spot. So although they are still unique photos, they do have, you can see that they're the same situation, same environment, same lighting, but you can see a difference in them because of our editing. So all I'm going to do on this is press this previous button, and it's applying all of the changes I made to the last one. Now, I don't love every last one of them, so I'm going to start back at the top. I wonder if that did. No, that one I don't need to change. Okay. I don't always mess with the camera calibration, so I didn't want to do too much. But anyway, I think that we need to come back up to the top and look at these and fix the color temperature a little bit. And definitely bring the brightness up. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Yeah, highlights tab is really only affecting like the brightest. Let's see what we can do with the tone curve. There we go. So now I'm like grabbing the slider kind of in the highlights section that's working on with the lighter tones, and it does bring it up really nicely without affecting the balance overall in the other areas. Oh, you can hardly see changes there. I do kind of want to bring it down a little bit though, because it has a like a really nice like contrast to the photo. It's a little bit much. Anyway, as I'm pulling this around, it's also affecting these sliders here. They are connected, so you can either work within the graph or you can work within the side sliders to do that. Appa Magic Style, hello, welcome. Rexus Fern got a new apartment, that sounds fun. You can hang out and relax, I hope. I really like how this one turned out. Okay, I'm gonna compare it to the previous one now. I think this one, I think that bringing the shadows down does do something nice for it. It's still preserving that tone contrast where I've got the brightest and the darkest are both in a good spot. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with this one now. I didn't need to revisit everything, I just needed to revisit a few things. And because of these photos on this really crisp white background, I really don't want to mess too much with like colorization or anything like that. I don't know, maybe I'm just being a weenie. I'm gonna move the crop around, but not by much. Sometimes I worry that I don't do enough like adventurous stuff with editing, but I don't necessarily think that you need to all the time. Like some people have like a very distinct style where they... How much of this do I want to move out? So I can remove this stuff in Photoshop. I'm getting distracted. There's stuff over here, there's like a plug on the background, and there's, you can see the bottom border of whatever part of the wall this was, and it's a little bit kind of distracting. So I would want to remove these from the photo. I can try to crop them a little bit. I can also Photoshop them out. I have the technology. But I think that I can crop most of it out without really, I don't know. So as I'm cropping, I want to focus more on getting the figure like balanced in the frame in a way that I like, more so than I am worried about this, because I can remove it one way or the other. But I think this is actually kind of nice. I can move it in more even, because you don't really need to see much more of my legs. I mean, it doesn't really change the appreciation for the photo. And I actually kind of like the idea of moving this in tighter. So yeah, I could crop that whole thing out entirely. You can see the preview over here too, and the way that that crops a lot more tightly around the body. I kind of like the way that the figure is like almost diagonal in this space. So maybe not quite as much. I could also try turning it very, very slightly to like make that a little bit more pronounced. I don't want it to be like a crazy diagonal angle, but just like very slightly like tilting that kind of, what's the word, enhances that kind of diagonal body shape without necessarily like making it too drastic. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. I'm probably overthinking things. I think a more confident photographer or editor would probably just look at this and immediately know what they want from it. But I'm not at that place yet. I'm just figuring things out and sliding things around and messing with my crops. So thanks for bearing with me while I do that. Yeah, I think that's what I want from that one. So we'll just keep moving along. I've got a lot to do here, and if I spend too many minutes on every single one, then well, that's nice. I'm gonna move the crop out slightly though. So Lightroom is great in that you can like kind of set up your basic adjustments as far as your exposure and white balance and things, and then just tweak small things in the individual photos and not have tons and tons of work to do in every single one. I think I might move that out just slightly, give myself a little bit more headspace, and maybe enhance the tilt just barely. Yeah, I think that's kind of nice. Some of these adjustments are just so subtle, but I'm finding my way around. Alright, let me check back in. Dr. John J is asking, how do I pronounce atelier? That's how I pronounce it, but you can pronounce it a number of different ways. It's a French word, but it also exists in English, so like, whatever. You could say atelier if you want to, because it is in English, like, an English pronunciation is fine. Yeah, cool. All right, people are being supportive in the chat. Thank you guys for putting up with me. So this one, we got the butt shot. I definitely want to crop it in closer. And this one does not need the tilt in the same way because I'm no longer doing that kind of diagonal thing. So I'm going to hit reset on this and bring it back to just being straight up and down. And I am going to crop in some because I think that having all of that leg room and like the weird side just isn't necessary. It doesn't add anything. So I can actually crop it in quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that works pretty well. I wish I could slide it over more, but that's what I got. That's what I have to work with. Cool. I like the way that the back looks so lit up. So the back pink parts are made from reflective vinyl, the kind of stuff you would get on like safety jackets. And so there's so much light in this room just bouncing around that it is like lit up and shining just from ambient light. Throughout the weekend we were using a UV flashlight to light it up in darker lighting situations, and that worked pretty well. But this is, again, just ambient light, which is incredible to me, and this is this is why people go to Katsucon. Oh, that's fun. Crop closer to the booty, that's right. Appa Magic Style is getting a Black Cat Diva cosplay commission. That's fun. I hope that that turns out really well. Good luck with that. Alright, previous again. Still adjusting our crop. And here I think that this is where our highlights are starting to get blown out a little bit too much. I do just enjoy cropping these in more. The background isn't really that interesting, and so while the situation provided us some nice lighting and stuff, I just don't feel like that could be kind of nice. Tilt it just a little bit. We don't really need a bunch of this white other stuff. Like, it's not really doing anything for us, so I'm just gonna crop it closer. So we are getting a little bit too bright in our highlights for sure in these photos now. I'm gonna bring that down slightly, and I'm also gonna adjust the whites because the very brightest areas just don't need to be that bright. I'll leave it at 0, and I think that's fine. I'm gonna kind of revisit these other sections too to make sure that we have a balance that looks nice. Which I think that's fine. I'm gonna go back to this other one. Yeah, that one's fine. And this one does look a little bit more similar to it now. Okay, I think that's fine. A lot of these adjustments are just like whatever your taste is. Like, it's just taste and style, so whichever one you want to do. Appa Magic Style says they're considering getting a photo shoot done, especially if it turns out really well. Well, you should definitely get a photo shoot done, because if you're paying for the costume, to have the costume made really nicely, and you want to have photos that will match it, because you're already investing. Oh, that's nice. We're not going to keep these settings though. We're gonna start over because this one is too different from the other settings. This needs to be adjusted. So we'll start up here again with the crop. I'm just gonna hit reset. I kind of like how this shows like this part of the knees and the gun and all of that, so I actually don't want to take too much out of that. Maybe just very, very slight cropping from the original shot. Alright, so this is too overexposed. And this was shot with just a little bit too much light. So actually just sliding down that exposure is working pretty well to bring us back into the range that we want. And we're gonna need to adjust the color temperature. Now I kind of like leaving it a little bit more toward the warm side, because as I bring it all the way back into like a really pure white or a cool white, I think that it's almost too much. Let me mess with this and see if I still agree. Oh, okay, I like this. I like bringing more of the magenta tones into the tint. That's really nice. Let's mess with this again. I think that's what we were missing. I like that. Okay. I'm basically just gonna rework all the sliders and make sure that we're in the range of what I like still. So bringing the highlights down here, even though the exposure is closer, I want to keep the light in the face. Which I think that does pretty well. Okay, that's probably fine. But prevent it from all being so blown out. That's still fine, I think. Okay. So darks need to be darker without bringing everything down. I also think that as we're adjusting the color range, it's starting to look a little bit too red in the face because it was a lot brighter before, and now that I'm looking at it more, it's a little bit too much. Oh, that's probably fine. Okay. I'm happy with the white balance overall. I can adjust tones here. So I was saying it was too red in the face, and as I slide this, you can really see the difference it makes. So this is actually just adjusting it closer. This is adjusting the hue and not the, I'm trying to put this back at 0. I'm just gonna hit 0. It's annoying. Saturation is probably closer to what we want. So this is, we know that this is just affecting the red tones. I'm just gonna slide it down a little bit, like not terribly. Just bring the red, the excess red out of some of these highlights without losing it entirely from the photo. I think that puts me back where I want to be. Is the orange? Yeah, orange is also there. However, orange is actually nice because orange is counteracting the blue. So blue and orange are complements. I don't want to lose the orange in the photo because there's so much blue in the photo. So I'm going to leave that as it is. What's yellow doing for us? Not too much. I might bring the yellow up. So these sliders are really useful. I didn't really feel like they needed to be adjusted in the previous photos, but they are helping us correct some things here that is really nice. So I wonder if we slide the red towards orange. Oh no, that's too much. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave that, but adjusting the saturation did really help because it took the overly red tones out of the face that I didn't like. Moto Sada stopped by to say hi. Hello, thank you. Oh, World of Gwendana is here. He's a much, much better photographer than me, and I was happy that I got to shoot with him. But yeah, here's my own attempt at editing some of these photos that we took. A Taco 12-pack Tiny Bear has. That sounds fun. I would enjoy a Taco 12-pack. Anyway, okay. Moving right along, I think that photo is now pretty much where I want it. And we can continue to make adjustments in Photoshop. So let's hit previous. And yeah, that applied all of the settings pretty nicely. I'm gonna move the crop a little bit in the other direction. There's like too much space on the side, but I don't want to lose too much vertically either. Just have to crop out a little bit. I wonder how. Maybe a very, very slight tilt. I can do something for the composition. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to lose too much more headspace or any of that knees, the knees. I wonder if. So yeah, that's where I'll leave it, and maybe I'll make more adjustments later. Anyway, this one, Lightroom is good for like more of the broad strokes, and then I'll probably choose like a smaller. Like I'll go through all of these in Lightroom and then I'll choose like a couple of my very favorites and I'll take those into Photoshop and make additional adjustments. There we go. Resetting the crop on this one. And I don't want to lose vertical space on this one. So that one I think I'm just going to not crop. That one's probably fine as is. I'm centered pretty well and you can see the whole gun. I don't want to get any closer to that and I don't want to lose any room up here, so maybe I'll do just the tiniest bit. That's probably good. Okay. I do think there's still a little bit too much red in that skin tone. I'm gonna see. Bring that down. I love how vibrant these are, but I just don't want to like push it too far. The magenta helps, but it's also like slightly too much in the face. I'll just keep working on this like I have before. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me while I do these edits. I probably won't, well, I don't know how far I'll get. I'll do as much as I can tonight, but I'm not going to push myself too much. So here's our magenta slider, and I might just bring it down a little bit in the saturation. I think that's fine. If I decide to Photoshop this one, if this is one ends up being one of my favorites, then maybe I think increasing the vignetting is nice. Not by tons and tons, but by some. How would that look on these? Good. Sometimes I go back and continue to change things. Now that I'm looking at this one, it looks a little bit too bright, but just a little bit of vignette can help with that too. Yeah, this is looking too magenta, so I'm going to change this. I think I'm also going to lighten up some of the shadows. So that might be what's contributing to it being like a little bit muddy, I think, compared to other photos that we've been working on. Just doesn't need quite as much of the darks, because we also turned down the exposure for these. See if I can, or need to adjust any of these. No, that's probably fine. Anyway, I'm sure I'll look at these later and I'll like feel totally differently about them. But it's part of the struggle, I guess. You know, it just takes practice, and I'm practicing right now. So thank you guys for for watching me and hopefully not criticizing me too harshly. But yeah, I think we're good right here. So I'm gonna keep going and apply previous. Okay. Yeah, I think that crop is pretty nice. Doesn't need very much at all, but just a little bit of just squaring it up slightly. Now this one's starting to look a bit orange, a little bit. Maybe I'm just imagining that. See, part of the problem is that, like, again, I'll like look at it different. I'll look at it again, and as you go back and forth, you kind of like feel differently about it. Bring the highlights up. I wonder if it's pretty subtle. I think that's kind of nice. Photos are so bright that I like worry about adding brightness to them, but I think sometimes it is actually what I need, and I'm just not. I'm just like too afraid to go there. Yeah, they're similar, so that looks nice. I'm gonna keep working on this crop. I think that the camera was slightly tilted. I want to keep the vertical, or otherwise I think it looks a little funny. Maybe that's just me. But that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll make it just ever so slightly that exaggerated diagonal, but not to the point where the vertical doesn't look straight. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Yay, let me check back in this chat. An adjustment brush can allow you to specifically decrease the vibrance of your face. Oh, that's a wonderful tip. Thank you. Selective color layer to adjust the skin tones in Photoshop. Yes, thank you guys. I think that's a good plan. So yeah, for now I think that these sort of like broad stroke edits are definitely putting me in the right place where I want to work with these. So whatever I take, whatever I choose to take into Photoshop, I'll probably do that, because I really like the the selective color adjustments are really fun. So I'll probably do that one. But thank you both for the tips. Zelda Skyloft, going to bed. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope you feel better. Tiny Bear, yeah. I'm glad that you're back. Sorry for not streaming while I was at Katsu, but, you know, got a lot of stuff going on at Katsu. So this looks like the lighting situation is pretty different, but I'm still going to hit previous and see how it goes. Yeah, I'm going to need to reset that, and I think I'll start from scratch on this one, because it is pretty different from the others. So I'm still kind of going to go for the same style. And this needs to be cropped pretty close for the kind of photo it is, for how kind of dramatic the angle is. I think that's pretty good. Oh, you know what? Let's try hitting auto and see what happens. Like I said before, this very, very rarely works out, but I kind of want to see what happens. Hey. That's it? That's all that happened? That's actually kind of nice. That's really not a problem. Alright, well then never mind. I take it all back. Let me compare this to where we were just at. Yeah, this does have that face redness. I feel like maybe I didn't quite nail the white balance, but hey, auto settings actually worked for us. I'm still going to tweak them because I don't trust computers to make my decisions for me. But that's kind of nice that it put us in a range that's good to start with. So let's see what bringing the highlights back up does. This one also brought up the shadows, which was quite a bit darker. Yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, I'm sure that some of my commentary, a lot of my commentary on this stream is just gonna be me quietly saying like, okay, as I slide things around, but having anybody here with me is keeping me on task and making sure that I'm not just getting distracted and scrolling through social media, so, you know, it's all good. So this crop, I don't really want to take off any more of the edge here, but there is like a weird shadow up here that I'll probably end up getting rid of because it, like, you can tell that it's like the edge of the architecture and it's kind of like implying another like layer there. I just think it's distracting because you can't really see what it is, so it's not really adding anything. So if I take this one into Photoshop, I'll probably just use like a content-aware fill tool to just kind of like get rid of that. Anyway, I'm just pointing it out as the kind of thing that like catches my eye. It's just being like slightly off-looking in the photo, and so I'll probably edit that particular spot in Photoshop. Hey, Powercord Gamer subscribed. Thank you so much. Saying hello. Hello. Oh, thank you guys so much for chilling with me here tonight. I'm probably not gonna stream. Well, I keep saying that. We're like halfway through almost. Yeah. These might need more different adjustments because they were taken outside as the light was changing more abruptly. But you know, otherwise, I really like where we're at with these. So I might just end up taking them all through Lightroom tonight, and I feel like that would be a good spot. Okay, I don't really want to adjust the clarity or vibrance because I think those are really nice, and I don't want to like make a lot of unnecessary changes. I'm gonna see if adding any more shadows or gonna adjust in a direction that we like. I do like that. What have we got? Actor2 just subscribed. Thank you so much. Dr. John says, any chance I'll be going to BlizzCon or TwitchCon? It'd be cool to do a shoot together. Well, thank you very much. I would love to do a shoot with you. I am really planning on being at TwitchCon this year. The past year I wanted to go and I said I was gonna go, and then I ended up not going because of stuff that was going on in my life, like my house flooding. So I missed TwitchCon this year and I thought that was kind of a bummer. I would love to be back at TwitchCon. So I will say that I would love to shoot with you if we are both at TwitchCon, and I certainly hope that can happen. It might be slightly too dark, but I like the kind of dramatic contrast there in the colors. I don't know, something about this atrium and all of the light coming in and how bright and clean everything looks. I just have a hard time editing in any other style besides to just like emphasize that clarity and that light. So like I have a hard time doing like crazy colorizations or anything. I just always want to make it like nice and clear and pretty looking. So that's what I'm doing. I think the color balance here is really nice. The face and the skin are not too red. The blues are really vibrant. The pink is really vibrant. The hair is really vibrant. So I'm not gonna do any like weird color adjustments, at least not at this point. I might do selective layers in Photoshop because that's really nice for doing like, or selective colorization. What am I trying to say? That's really good for like color grading, but I think for Lightroom I mostly focus on like corrections. And do we want to add a vignette? Just like a baby vignette. I have a hard time resisting baby vignettes. But I don't ever want it to look like really cheesy like this, it's just too much. So I like to do like a baby vignette, just a little bit there. I think that is working out for us. I'm gonna compare it to the previous edits we've done. Yeah, this color balance is weird. So you're talking about doing an adjustment brush. Oh, I don't want to get into that. I want to move forward, not backwards. But yeah, I think this new edit is still nice. I wonder if we could bring a little bit more. That's probably not what we want. Alright. Luminance might also help us. Yeah, that's making adjustments to the face. That's actually really cool. And I think this is what was bothering me about the face being kind of like, what's the word? And that's also, this slider's just in the back, so I have to be careful with that. Where it just looked a little bit too, muddy, but not in like an actual dirty way. I don't know, like it just wasn't popping, and now it is a little bit more. Now this is, I don't want to add too much there. That's really nice. So usually, I mean, depending on what your skin tone is, the skin tone adjusters are going to be like the warmer colors, for the most part, but everybody's different. Yeah, that's mainly just doing the back, which I think actually turning it down slightly makes it a little bit bolder. I really love how this looks just totally lit up. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to continue with these adjustment sliders because I think I get some changes that I really like. Yeah, I do want this more on the magenta side and less on the yellow side, or orange side, for these red tones. I can stay at 0. That's what I'm trying to do. And I might do yellow up. Just barely. Okay. I'm way happier with these now. I think that's much better. Alright. Moving along. I think this is our very last indoor photo under these conditions. So I just applied the same settings again. I've got a bunch of stuff to take out of the bottom corner, which I think I can do without too much trouble in Photoshop, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Everything else here is okay. I want the colors to be more vibrant for sure, because I feel like I lost some of the vibrancy in this shot. You can really see all the dirt on my face. It almost looked like I had freckles, which was super awesome and fun. Am I going to RTX this year? No, I'm not. Yeah, we've enjoyed RTX in the past, but it's just no. I think it's just more for people who are like really into Rooster Teeth, and since we're not associated with Rooster Teeth, like it's fun, but like I think that it's just not as much for us. But like it is a good con and it's run well and there's a lot of fun things that happen there. But yeah. Tiny Bear says, sorry I didn't feel up to doing much on the second day of Katsu or whatever. Yeah, on Saturday I decided to take the day off, but honestly I have 0 regrets. I actually am just really happy that I prioritized my own rest and relaxation. And World of Gundana here can also tell you that the shooting conditions on Saturday were just miserable because there was so much happening and like it was just you'd have to be out there like fighting tooth and nail for photo spots, and it just wasn't worth it. So I think that Saturday was kind of a slower day for a lot of us. I don't know about everybody, but it's just harder to work on that kind of thing on Saturday. So so I just didn't, and I took that time to hang out in my hotel room, and I felt a lot better about it. So I had zero regrets about that choice. I actually think that that would be something I should plan for in the future. We were also talking about going on like location shoots nearby in the DC area and just like do a little bit of research and find different, I don't know, just different locations that have, you know, cool, interesting stuff, and just go on little field trips and shoot out there. And I think that would be a very useful thing that we could do with our time. I'm like stumbling over my words because I'm just trying to edit and talk at the same time, and I'm like thinking about all these different things. This magenta is a bit much in my face. Oh, I guess it's not really adjusting too much. It's really just adjusting the hand. Let's look at reds. Only a little bit. It's really not very much. But I do want to slide it back towards orange and away from magenta. Anyway. Yeah, this really... Oh, it is kind of affecting the face. I like to bring the sliders like to the far extreme so that you can really see what it is that you're looking at. And what I'm trying to work on is how much like magenta there is in the face and how I'm not really into it. So bringing it down helps, but I don't want to lose all of it from the hand. So I'm not going to bring it down very much. And I think that's still fine. I can use my, I can create like selected layers or use that adjustment brush, which is I think up here. Yeah, that's it. But I'm just not going to spend time on all the details right now because I don't even know if I want to use that one. But it's there. It's ready for me to start working on. Okay. So these photos is, I was trying to like recreate these great photos that I took a couple years ago in this costume. But yeah. This one, what does our previous do? Don't like it. We're starting over on this one. Let's try auto and see what happens. Yep, that's too much. Also not great. But I think we can adjust from here. I don't know. I hate that it always brings the exposure way, way up, which is not what you need. Nah, I'm starting from scratch. I know what I want from this, and it's not auto settings. I'm gonna tilt it just slightly because I'm looking at the way that this like tapers down, and I'm just gonna try to even up that black background and then adjust where I fall within it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Seems like it's centered up pretty well. Alright, let me come back over here to the chat. Sorry I'm like missing that. I'm just, you know how scrambled my brain gets. Location shoots are fun. It's always fun to go and find something fresh and different. And you know, because Katsucon is known for these beautiful environments, and they are definitely worth using, especially depending on what you're working on or working with, what costume you're wearing. But you also just, here we go, let me bring the lights up. Like, you just end up seeing and using the same things over and over and over again. Like, Katsucon is known for the gazebo, but I don't ever even want to shoot in the gazebo because the gazebo is so overused that it's like, you're never going to get anything. Like, you can shoot in that gazebo all day and not not come up with anything that hasn't been done before. Like, it's just so overdone, and so that's really what a lot of the locations are starting to feel like. Now, depending on how creative you get with framing and editing and stuff, there's still a lot that you can do that's original in these locations, but I think that it's definitely worthwhile to start looking outside of the main venue to come up with stuff that's more original. I just really love the way that the light is already balanced in this photo. Like, I'm making small adjustments, but just like the way that it's hitting the suit and the way that it's like the overall balance of light throughout the photo, I guess, is just really, really nice. And that's just the atrium, man. That's just the atrium doing that for you. Okay, do I need to... No, I don't really want to adjust too much. Skin tones look good. Colors look good. I might bring yellow up a little bit. Yeah, because you get a little bit more vibrance out of the wig. And it doesn't seem to ruin the skin tone too much. Doesn't make me look too yellow overall, so that's good. And just a small vignette, just a little bit. That's pretty good. Alright, hell yeah, I really like this photo. I wanted to do a comparison shot between the original suit and then now how it looks after all of this weathering. And I think this will be a good one. And here's also with my arched eyebrow. I'm just gonna hit previous. Yeah, looking good. I'll adjust the crop very slightly. Now there are like additional settings I could use to try to like mess with the distortion, because what you see is like this, the background panel is wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. I can try to adjust that and balance it out, but I don't really want to do that right now. So I'm just going to use a little bit of tilting and cropping to kind of like mostly center it up, and I'm just going to be happy with that. Where is that? I think that's in Transform. Yeah, so this is... what are we doing? Yeah, this is where you can make those types of adjustments. I might do a little bit of vertical transformation. There we go. That's actually not difficult to do. So this is like adjusting the proportions of the image pretty much. And that's not like 100% perfect, but it's pretty good. Let me see. No, not that. 0. No rotate. No horizontal. Well, just the slightest amount actually does. Okay, well then, okay, maybe I did just do it. I changed my mind. Let me see, check back in with the chat over here. Oh, nice. Everybody's so kind. I love... Oh, hey, Declaration, that's my brother-in-law. Haha. Awesome, thanks for coming over here. Hey, Azakira. World of Gwendana saying, thinking about the Gaylord, it's definitely gorgeous and a huge draw for Katsucon, but definitely not married to it. The biggest draw is the elaborate costumes. If you can get pics of the costumes on Thursday, some on Friday, and definitely Sunday. Otherwise, get some folks to go on location other days, and I think we're golden. I totally agree with that. Katsucon itself, I think, is always going to be worth going to because of the fact that it's like, yes, everybody bringing their A game and showing up and like ready to shoot like their most elaborate, best stuff and all of that. And so for that reason, I feel like I'm always going to want to go there. Unless I just, you know, get over it someday. But I can see what you're saying where it's like the location itself is not the end-all be-all, and the drawbacks of the crowds and all that kind of just create difficulty. I'm going to bring the crop in slightly because it looks like the transforming that we just did created a little bit of white border that isn't ideal. So some small adjustments there, and boom! Now I have almost completely evened out the black lines of the black background, and it looks almost like I've got a little border on it except my elbow sticking out. But anyway, that's really nice. I kind of want to fix this one now, and I am. Oops, no. Come back. So we're going back to transform and horizontal. No, there's a little bit of both. That's about right. Plus small crops. Just small ones. And this can be fine-tuned in Photoshop as well. And there's always going to be some distortion because honestly the lines are not technically perfectly straight. They have some bend to them because of the lens. That's okay. Oh my gosh, Aries just came and bumped my hand and says, "Mom, I want to sit on your lap." Hey everybody. Thanks guys, everybody was being so kind in the chat. Yeah, today is a low-key chill stream, so I'm not doing as much like visually interesting stuff. And usually I have a face cam, but today I'm just like, no. No one can see me. I am a blob. I have not not taken the time to make myself beautiful since Katsucon. Oh wait, I'm gonna start by cleaning up, just resetting my crop, and then I'm gonna go into, well, I'll crop it some, but I'm gonna reset crop. And now we'll go into the transform tab. Is like very difficult to adjust. There we go. So as you can see me making these changes, there are these like white triangles appearing now along the sides of the image. I'm gonna have to crop those out, which is fine, that's not hard. And I could use a content aware fill tool or something like that, a stamp tool, clone tool, to fill in those areas if I wanted to. But that is kind of the these are appearing because of these like distortion adjustments that we're making in the transform tab. So that looks pretty good to me. It's not like 100% squared up, but it's not going to be. It does look nice, however. It looks nicer in the way that it's balanced in the image, so I'm happy with that. Cool, there we go. Now, how are we looking? I feel like the highlights here are just barely blown out. It's like a little bit too bright, and maybe the whites. I don't know. But the wall still looks a little bit gray. You know, maybe I'll take highlights down and leave whites bright. That looks pretty good. You can also adjust them here to kind of, yeah, that actually helps a lot. these are kind of competing settings in a way, but I couldn't tell you the exact differences in the way that this algorithm is processing things, but there are some differences, which is why you can still adjust both on top of each other. It's kind of interesting how technology meets art and these like subtle things that you can perceive that are very difficult to describe in words. But you know, hopefully this isn't too difficult to follow as I like stumble over my words to describe what I'm doing here. Dry Erase Girl says they never got to see the original version. Well, that's a bummer, but I will post a photo showing the before and after and you'll see it. Senchicon in Alaska? That sounds fun. Yeah, I'll post it before and after, and then it'll all be clear. Alright, once again hitting previous, but I'm gonna have to make unique adjustments on this transform. So it does not need to be rotated as much. And it also doesn't need quite as much here. I think that's where it was already. Yeah, cool. I got my horizontals and diagonals pretty nice in this one. I'm gonna bring the crop out. I can't bring it all the way out because here again, this is the white border that's been created by that transformation. I'm gonna still crop as much in as I can here, and I might use Photoshop to like extend the black panel in the background here. Let me show you. Done. So the way that it like cuts off, I don't want to cut off any closer to the gun, but I might like just Photoshop to where it looks like the black panel continues down, because it's a little distracting that it ends right there so close to the edge of the image. So I'll probably look at that in Photoshop because I don't like it, but I did get my lines to be nice and vertical, and that looks great, and that's more important to me than cropping it at a specific point. Oh, this one, I can take the transforming off. I'm gonna do done, and I'm gonna reset my transformations. I'm just gonna hit 0 on all of them. So I don't think this one needs as much. Since it's not like centered and squared up in the same way, it just doesn't need those same transformation effects. Like this is mostly vertical, and if I change it at all, what do we want here? Yeah, I don't like that. I'd rather just do it through rotation, because then I'm losing the top corner of my image. So we're just gonna use the cropping tool. I want to really just center it up. I wish I wasn't losing my gun down there. Hey, Gabe's Shesher just subscribed. Thank you so much. As Akira's heading out, well, thanks for stopping by. Heyo, McLad Drifter. Anyway, I wish I were a little bit more centered up here, but I guess it could just be nice as like a non-centered photo. Maybe I should just bring this back out. Hit reset. Alright, what do I really want with this photo? I don't know. The body is like lined up against this like about a third of the way through the image. I'm going to adjust it slightly and show at least the tip of my finger. I think that's fine. I think that's the most we're going to get out of this one in particular. Oh, I guess a slight rotation would be good. And then I'll probably use Photoshop to clean up this weird line being so close to the edge. But that's all fine. You dig the non-centered? Yeah. I agree. It's just more about like making sure it's still balanced in an organic way. Not necessarily like symmetrical, but balanced. There's my tone curve a little. Alright, cool. Alright, and those are all of our indoor atrium shots. That's quite a bunch that we've been through now. Everything else here is stuff that was shot outside during golden hour. I was a little bit more picky about which photos I chose from this section because I was able to shoot with a lot of other photographers during the same time. Like all the photos that you just saw, they were taken inside the atrium, are things that Jared and I just did on our own while we were just hanging out with each other. And so, you know, I did do a number of like atrium shots, but those were kind of like photos that I didn't necessarily do anything in that exact spot or style with anybody else. So I was more interested in kind of looking at all of the different options for stuff that I got with Jared. As far as the stuff that happened outside, we were there with a lot of other photographers, and so there were other people doing like their own shots in their own style, but in the same place at the same time. So I feel like I'm gonna have a lot more to choose from in terms of like what other people produce from this same shot. And so I was a lot pickier about which ones I decided to edit from Jared. Also, he was deferring to the other photographers in terms of like giving them space and letting them shoot and stuff, so. Oh, hey! Hey friends, hey Fanina. Fanina is here, and she was outside. She was one of the people, she was in costume shooting as Roxas, I believe, and also grabbing her camera and shooting with me during the same time, so she has some shots, I believe. And yes, Sarah was also there, Kyle, World of Gwendana was there, so these beach pics are... There's a lot to look at. Alice of Carol says, what's golden hour? And it's the hour before sunsets, as Dr. John said. Lots of really, really nice light. It's just diffused really beautifully. And yeah, it's great. Anyway, these are fun to edit. As far as cropping this one, I don't even really feel like I need to. Like, I'm centered up pretty well in the image. Aside from trying to like make that not, no, I hate it. Alright, no cropping on this one. I'm gonna see what auto does, and if we hate that. Oh, I don't hate it. That's actually pretty nice. We can start working with this. As far as the temperature and the white balance goes, these kinds of stuff that's taken during golden hour already has this like nice warm glow to it, so you don't want to fight that. Like, the white balance is not going to be pure and perfect the same way that it was when we were indoors in the atrium, where the light is really, like, bright and white. So I'm not as worried about, like, oh, using pure white in everything. I want the white balance that we choose for this photo to reflect and to bring out the best aspects of that golden light. So I think this is pretty good. And I can always use Photoshop to like, or this brush tool. Maybe this is a good opportunity to use that. To make an adjustment brush right here. I'm using scrolling, making it a little smaller. Oh, that's bright. That's bringing the exposure up, which I don't want. So this is not an exposure brush. This is a... Oh, alright. Maybe I don't know this tool well enough to want to use it right now. Has been snowing up in Seattle, is what Lawrence Turtles is asking me. It has, but not really consistently. How do I delete this? Do I just hit delete? Yeah, alright. I'm not going to use an adjustment brush because I don't want to mess with that and try to teach myself something. I'd rather just work my way through the rest of these photos. So I might go and make minor adjustments to my face if I want to make it look a little bit less red or something like that. But overall, Did we hit back? What's going on here? Done. Okay, that's right. Alright, so the adjustment brush is gone. So we're back to our main screen here. I don't think exposure needs any. Nah, 0. No, this brought the contrast down. Do I? But maybe not all the way. So yeah, a lot of this is just experimenting, especially with a photo like this that has more of like a stylized like colorization to it. The ones in the atrium are just so clean and bright that it's like I want them to look really crisp, whereas this is more experimental for me. Like I don't necessarily know exactly what I want from this photo, I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. Maybe if I were more experienced I would know, but I'm just kind of messing with it right now. I do think bringing these blacks down is good. I don't want to mess with clarity or vibrance. I don't think they are going to serve us right now. Yeah, there are a lot of photographers here. Everybody's talking about the weather. Yeah, the weather keeps like teasing snow this week, and so I'm like watching out my window, just ready at any moment to stop what I'm doing and run and put on that Zelda costume and be like, okay, Jared, I'm ready to shoot. Come take more photos of me. And if that happens, then maybe I'll do another editing stream and you can watch me work on those. But yeah, I am super hopeful that we will eventually get some nice snow on the ground, and if we don't, then I'll just go up a mountain. It'll be great. I don't really want to mess with these. I changed my mind. So I'm backlit in this photo, which kind of which makes the light balance really delicate. I don't want to brighten myself up so much that I lose a really nice like rim lighting effect. I kind of want to just like lean into that and let it do its thing. Now hues. I think that some selective color layers in Photoshop would be really nice for like just like organizing the colors overall. So again, I probably don't have to mess with this so much right now because there aren't any like major corrections that I want to make in the same sense as I was correcting those last photos. It's really just a matter of like making the colors work together as a whole and finding out like what kind of color profile I want overall for the image. And I think that Photoshop selective layers would do really well for that. Oh, Tiny Bear, thanks for coming to so many streams. I hope that it was exciting to see it all finished. But yeah, I would love to shoot in actual snow, but until then, I've been very lucky to work with some photographers who are willing to give me some fake snow. So I appreciate that. No need to transform anything. As far as vignetting goes, I don't think this is the type of image that like really needs it. Maybe just like the tiniest. No, I feel like that is just kind of distracting the eye. I don't know, maybe it can have -2, alright. So this, I was making some adjustments to this. I wonder how this will go over here. Oh, so this is bringing the oranges, sliding the oranges between, I'm sorry, the reds between orange and more of a magenta. I do think that magenta is serving this color balance more. Okay, so this is actually going to be good for the color profile. I don't want to make it too magenta-y everywhere because that is like, you want to maintain contrasts. But I do also want to, there's not very much green here. I do want to make things work together and complement each other. This is really nice. This is like taking the green out almost, or bringing it more towards this like pinkish hue, which is really nice. Because the suit itself is blue and pink / magenta in terms of, you know, color editing. And then I'm standing in front of water, which isn't like extremely vibrantly blue, but it is blue and it has blue tones in it. And so if I can make the background also kind of work with those blues and magentas, I think that's a really nice profile for this image to have. But if I make it too monotone, see, that's too much. Okay, we're gonna leave this back at 0. And I think I'm gonna bring down the green one because I don't want it. Nah, that's bringing color out of the image, which is not what I want. So I think I'll keep I'll go with my instinct there, but I'm just gonna tone it down slightly. That's what I often do. I'll go with my instinct, but then I like kind of back off a little bit because sometimes it's too much. All right, checking back in with my chat here. Talking about cosplay and weather and photography. Awesome. All the same things I'm talking about. If it were to snow, do you have somewhere specific at the house you would have in mind to take pics, or just hoping for the best? We have like a little tiny backyard. It's not very much, but it's like there's a couple different plants that are just like fir trees. What's the word? Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They're that like kind of pine tree. So I think that if snow hits those, they're gonna look really nice. And even though we don't have a lot of scenery to work with, we have, you know, just that amount where I can sit and frame it kind of nicely, and I don't know. So there's not like I have a huge sprawling backyard and lots of options to choose from, but I think a couple nice pieces of vegetation to work with that would be pretty with snow on it. So I'm gonna hit previous, but this photo has sort of different colors in it already. So I think it's gonna need to be edited differently than this one is. But I like where we ended up with that one. Alright, so let's hit previous, see what happens. Oh, hey, that's actually really not bad. I'm still gonna make adjustments, but I'm not going to start over on this one. So, oops, I keep hitting that. Now, I'm gonna hit reset, actually. No, we're at history. I'm just gonna look at the history, see what it would lose. This one definitely is less magenta and it's more like golden, which I do really like that goldenness in the hair and a little bit in the background up here. Like you have these like more yellowy tones. I want to bring them back out a little bit and not have it be too much on the magenta side, but otherwise I think the colors that we created with the last edit are really nice. Aw, you guys are so sweet to me. I really like this pic. Everybody really likes this one, apparently. I am totally oblivious to the reactions. I'm like looking at like photo like colors and like, all right, apparently this one is the pic that everyone's reacting to. So let me make sure that I have it selected. Yes, this one is on my short list of best shots that we got. So this one I will almost definitely make the final cut. All right. You guys can all send your praise to Jared, because Jared's the one that took this shot. I was just out there trying to look like a babe, you know, like you do. I guess I did well enough. So I think that bringing the color temperature back towards yellow actually is... You can also just use your history to like kind of compare and contrast your actions. It's subtle, but that's definitely the direction that we need. I think there was a reflector on my face, which is why it's like super golden. So I might do a little bit of skin tone correction in Photoshop, but I do really enjoy the color balance overall that we have here. So I think this is good. Yeah, not that. Well, what if I just did it a tiny bit? That could be fine, right? Yeah. That could be fine. Because the colors are a little bit more vibrant here. This is not like a perfectly... I don't know, like this one is just like a little bit more stylized, heavily colorized compared to other shots we've been working on, so I think this is good. Triangle going back. Oh, well, thank you. You just do my best. I mean, I probably look like I'm really relaxed in this image, but like every single muscle in my body and my posture is like very precisely like I'm thinking about it all. None of it is effortless. As far as the way that your shoulders are and the way that you're, you know, popping the booty and the boobs and all of that. Like, it's very intentional. And actually, as I was standing out there, it was the end of the day and I had been in this costume for so many hours, I was just thinking to myself, like, this is basically a marathon yoga session. Like, it's not all of the same, you know, postures and positions, things like that, but it really is like a full day worth of like a core workout. By the time that you're done wearing a bodysuit and like popping the booty and watching your shoulders and just all of the things, you really do feel like you've just been beaten up practically. I think highlights, bringing highlights up a little bit is good. A little bit. I like how the hair just almost disappears into the background, but you can still see the edge, and making sure that edge is still visible is important to me because I don't want to blow it out until that's gone. But I think it's at a really good point where it's like a subtle contrast and edge. Now, this photo already has a lot of like the darkest tones in it. I actually think bringing them up a little bit is nice. That is nice. Okay, I think I will leave the deepest shadows dark and bring the regular darks up. Sometimes you have to go back and forth on things. At least I do. I don't always know what I want. Maybe that's too much. It already has a good presence of like the very darkest are here. And so I don't want to bring the whole slider down and lose the range because I'm already hitting that like, there's probably like a true black in here somewhere in like the darkest tones. So I hit that true black. You know, there's probably like a true white right here. At least to me, it looks like I got there. And so in terms of my rule of thumb of making sure that we're working within the full range of values, I think this is at a good spot. Thanks for listening to me ramble so much. Okay, do I want to change any saturations? Here's the red that is in my face. Huh, that really doesn't take too much out of the rest of the image, so I'll probably leave that down a little bit. And let's see if we can add more yellow. How much is... that's not nearly as extreme as I thought it would be, so we can have it pretty high. Cool. Checking in with the chat. You guys are so supportive and so nice. I really love this photo too, but yeah, I wasn't expecting this extreme of a response. Thanks, guys. Tiny Bear says, I didn't want to sound creepy during the editing the off-center black panel pic, but that grows a great shot for the booty. Yeah, I mean, it is all very intentional. And it's weird because as you're modeling, like, you're doing things with your body that often feel like so over-exaggerated that it is feeling very unnatural and feeling very weird, but a lot of the time, like, you need to do that to have it come across in photos to be like to get that right angle. You have to sometimes over-exaggerate it to the point where it seems like unreasonable and uncomfortable, but then when you see it from that angle on camera, it's just perfect. So trust your photographer when they tell you to make those little adjustments, because they can see something you can't. And even though it is like maybe seems like it's too much to you, it definitely can make a difference. I really like bringing the purple out of this too, because we've got like purple and gold in this image. This is really nice. Alright, cool. Well, I like what we've been able to do with saturation of different colors here. Just with these sliders. And you don't have to change every single one of them, but just looking at like the colors that are the most present in the image. I think adding this one a little bit toward the orange is good. Not too much. That actually is pretty nice. Okay. So yeah, I like to make just a lot of little changes because a lot of the time I don't have confidence that I know what I'm doing. So I just mess around until I like it. And you have to just keep asking yourself, do I like this more or less? I don't know, do I want this to be more blue? I don't really want to sacrifice the blues in this image by going too purple with them, but I like the purple tones in general. Yeah, these sliders make a lot more changes. These are like just way more useful in these types of images than they were in like this one, where it's like all the colors are very clean and bright, and or these are probably better photos, where I'm going for like the true blue, the true yellow, and like the true whites and blacks, and like just it's very like clean and bright and like simple. Whereas these have a much more complex like color profile, and I'm less concerned with like representing the color in like the most true way, like the way that it looked in that atrium, and it's more about like the artistic balance between the colors. So it's a totally different style, and I think that the difference, the reason why I'm doing it this way compared to the other way is just because of the light that we were working with, and the way that Golden Hour gives you these gives you all of these really nice things to work with. Yeah, okay, there we have it. Using the red tones in the face, bringing up the luminance is doing what it needs to do for the face and making it brighter. Still might make more of those simple adjustments in Photoshop, but I think that's really good. It's not really, if you turn it all the way down, you can see that it's only affecting the image in other really, really subtle ways. I'm actually going to turn that up to 100 because I don't think I'm sacrificing anything by doing that. So hell yeah. A lot of photographer chat going on. That's awesome. I love this. I love how much this has turned into people just like nerding out about various photographer stuff. Okay, I really, really like this. Let's see if a vignette is going to do much for it. I don't want to lose kind of the nice qualities. Yeah, I think that we'll just leave it. And these were the adjustments that we had already made, and I'm happy with them because we've already fine-tuned it with the other tools. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to apply it to this one. That looks great. Oh my gosh. I'm going to do that one more time just to show it. This is already a nice image, and it already has like nice colors in it, and more or less the same lighting, same spot of course. But then when you apply all the color filters, these just pop. And now it has that same like color balance as the rest of it. I'm gonna see if cropping, oh this is the full crop. I don't know, I might just, because there's like this weird lump down here, and you don't really need to see the knees or anything. I think ending it right at this curve is kind of nice. So I'm looking at the horizontal line there, and then I'll just, should I center it up or? Yeah, I think it's just close enough to center that it looks. There we go. I'm slightly leaning towards the side there. That's pretty nice. Cool. See, Jared's getting so good at this. He's been like not very confident in wanting to take photos, or he kind of like questions himself so much that And some of the other shoots that we've done, he kind of just like is almost like afraid to make decisions. Like he doesn't trust himself to make decisions. And I noticed that at Katsucon, he was suddenly just being a lot more, what's the word? More confident and more proactive about doing that kind of thing. And I was really, really happy because, you know, I don't need him to be a pro photographer overnight. I just need him to take some photos and to be able to make decisions and like willing to make decisions, and then that'll just gradually improve over time, because that's how it works, learning new skills. And so I'm really, really happy that he's done that and he's more comfortable behind the camera. And we went through these photos together right before I started this stream, and we kind of just looked at which ones we liked and why we liked them, and what I was doing in certain photos that made them better than the others, and what he had done in certain photos that made them better than the others. So it was just really nice for us to be able to sit and have that conversation and figure stuff out. Oh, hey, Scarlet Moth. Katsu was amazing. And we did a lot of awesome photos, and these are Jared's photos, and look at all of the wonderful things. Look how wonderful he made me look. Yeah, I think highlights down is good. We're definitely like in the right direction with all of this, but every photo is unique, and this is at a different angle with a different pose, so we need to make sure that you know, it gets the best individual treatment and not just hit previous and say, okay, we're done. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it needs a lot. I might do a little bit of vignette on this one since it's a little bit more shadowy. Yeah, I think this one's nice with a little bit of vignette. Not too much, but because there is more emphasis in like shading myself from the sun, so kind of emphasizing the sun and the shadow is good. Yes, Jared took all of these photos. Assertive, yeah, that's the word I was looking for, dry erase girl. Assertive and making decisions. And I'm just so proud of him for learning and being good. Pink Girl asks, does the back actually light up like that? These are reflective panels, so they reflect light. They're not a light source, which is nice because there's no wiring, there's no batteries, etc. It's not like an electronic thing. It's just reflecting in the same way that like, you know, biking or safety gear has those reflective panels. And so during this shoot, we were using a reflector to shine light onto the back panels, as well as a UV flashlight, which is like a little black light that also makes the panels light up. And so that was really useful. But I really like this technique and implementing it. I was just experimenting with this. I was just like, I wonder if this will work when I sewed it, and it did. And what I really loved about it was I wore this costume on stage in a cosplay contest, and where I walked down the runway, and you know, that was really nice because if I had used LEDs or EL wire or L panels or whatever, that would have been completely drowned out by the stage lights, because there's like just hugely bright stage lights during those contests. But because it was a reflective panel, it reflected the stage light back into the audience, and it was super bright because it was glowing with the power of the surrounding lights rather than fighting it. Yeah. Anyway, there's just some thoughts about my technique there. I think it really paid off, and I was really happy with that. World of Wandana says this photo is good because it definitely tells a story. I agree. I really like that about this photo, and that you can kind of see, I don't know, what's going on and the way that the damage looks and the way the gun is held. And yeah, I just really like this one. It asks a lot of questions. All right, cool. Next photo. We're so almost done with these. I've got like 6 photos left, so I am gonna finish all of these, and then that'll probably be the end of my stream. Now this one's quite dark looking compared to the others, but I do really like it. So let's see what previous does. That's too much of the colorization. I'm gonna reset it and start from scratch on this. But yeah, otherwise it's okay. Let's see what auto does. That's actually better. I'm gonna make changes here, but this is not the worst. I feel like this is almost like too, wow, super blue, and it goes between blue and yellow very, very quickly with not very much adjustment necessary. Now this one is super backlit. I am in shadow, my face is in shadow, and there's like there's a strong rim light, but there's kind of less light overall. And so I think that like a softer, grayer edit is gonna be what's best for this one. Because it's just gonna be hard for me to get like a really strong contrast without just like destroying the visibility of the face and all of that. Let's see if I should do any more. Nah, I think this was at a good spot. Where was it at? Oh, that's fine. Okay, I only turned it up a tiny bit. Contrast is way low. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say, that the contrast has to be pretty low on this because of how much shadow there is in my face. I don't really want to turn it down any lower. Oh, you know what? My my monitor settings just kicked in. So my nightlight turned on at 9:01 p.m. Okay, it turns on at 9, and I'm really glad that I caught it immediately because I just turned it off. Oops, no, Lightroom, come back. And so yeah, boom. Now I'm suddenly seeing a very different image than I was only 1 minute ago. So, all right, let's revisit these other things really quickly. I think it can take some more. So yeah, if you're doing any kind of photo or video editing that you're doing like color grading, be mindful of whether or not you have any weird monitor settings that are going to mean that it looks differently at certain times than it does at other times. So that was not visible in the stream, but basically I was no longer looking at the same thing that you were looking at, and I wasn't even aware of it immediately. But now I'm aware of it, and now I am looking at the same thing that you're looking at, and so now my adjustments will reflect that. But back to contrast, I do think just keeping it kind of low is good. Not all the way low. Yeah, I'm gonna slightly. We could do a number of different things with this. I could center it up, or I actually don't know what I want to do. I'm gonna reset it. I'm gonna leave it at full size for right now, and then maybe at the end I'll feel more inspired to make it cropped one way or the other. So highlights are way down, shadows are way up, which is also kind of creating that same like low contrast effect. And I do think that's necessary for what we're doing right now. Oh, weird. So as I turn whites down, I can actually bring out quite a bit of the background. It doesn't really seem to be affecting. I'm not going to have it all the way down. I do want to leave it pretty low now that I know I can do that. Because it doesn't seem to be, you know, like strongly affecting other parts of the image. That's probably good. Blacks are also very low. Let's see. I might leave that. No, I definitely need more black in it. But not a lot. Okay. Cool. Vibrance might do something nice for us. No, it looks like Vibrance is mostly... Well, okay. I don't want it up that high, but... It's doing a lot for the suit and not a lot for the rest of the image, so I don't want it up that high. This is creating more of a grungy edge, but since I'm having trouble, since I can't have a lot of contrast, clarity is actually kind of nice. Yeah, it's hard to describe what clarity does, but as you look, it looks very dreamy and like weirdly angelic, and the lines are kind of blurry when you turn it down. And when you turn it up, it looks almost like poster edges, where it like creates this like harsher shadows around edges. So I think that's what it's doing, I guess, is it's like, it's exaggerating or like toning down the contrast specifically at the edges. So I am going to turn it up slightly because we have to have low contrast overall, and so that does give a little bit more definition to the shapes and the forms, which is nice. So there we go. I generally don't mess with saturation because I just don't trust it, but yeah. See how it's so quickly to like, it's so quick to look really like fake and weird? I don't trust it. I don't fuck with saturation. Lighting is sorcery, says Tiny Bear. I kind of feel the same way. Oh, hello, Travelsome. Welcome, welcome. Wait, was that a ray gun? Yes, there's a ray gun in my Photoshop window. I had, because I just like printed out a large video. Sorry, a large reference image for working on my ray gun. Because yes, I am cosplaying Ray. Alright, so back over here, let me mess with this tone curve, see if it's gonna do anything that I like-y. I'm like constantly torn between losing the light in my face. Oh, it's nicer when it's brightened up. Okay, so it does just kind of create a hazy overall background, but I'm gonna see what we can do to add a little bit more color into that I think could end up looking very pretty. Let's do that through... Well, first let's adjust our hues and see which direction we want our sliders to lean. Yeah, orange doesn't need to change, but other things I think should lean. It's interesting how the darkest parts of the blues are falling, like, because the suit itself is made with blue fabric in real life, but because of the way it photographed with this golden light, the blues, the darkest areas of the blues are reading as purple, and I'm adjusting them with the purple slider. And it's interesting because I'm wondering if I want to keep them like blue or if I want to like loan them towards this magenta that's affecting so much of the image overall. I think magenta is the right way to go for this because it is just kind of less, there's less color in this image overall compared to some of the others because we had to mess with the light and the contrast so much. So, you know, I'm not mad about bringing out all this magenta. I think we're going in the right direction. So let's bring this saturation of the magenta only up a little bit. Yes, okay, we're in the right direction here with these selective saturations. Now, hold on a second. Before I do this, let's do luminance again. Face, yeah, okay, red luminance up is giving us the light we need in the face. Still potentially some Photoshop adjustments there, but I'm going to start with that and then see what other changes I want to make in saturation. Yeah, I think yellow just needs to be all the way up. That's good shit. That is good shit. The blue is already very, very present here, and I don't want it to overtake because it's a contrast to the other things. I don't want it to overtake. So the blue might actually... Nah, I could just stay at 0. That's fine. Alright, let's see if any other I kind of like that. Okay. Again, vignetting is helping this one. Partly because the sky is so bright, and because there is there is kind of a lack of contrast in the values of the image overall. So vignetting is good. Vignetting is doing good work. I think that it is just so close to being centered. I can't really if I try to move it off center, I feel like I'm losing too much one way or the other. So I'm just gonna move it to the center. Just keep it simple. Done. Okay. Next. I think this one, yes, this one has took those previous settings beautifully because it's a very similar, it's the same pose, same time, and honestly a much, much better angle. So I'm gonna go back through here and, cause the other one makes me look almost like my legs are weird. they're like cut off or something. It's kind of bizarre. Anyway, I still like the photo. I didn't want to lose it. So this one I think really brings out the best elements, though. Yeah, that looks baller. I'm gonna just kind of briefly test some of the settings out here and make sure that it's exactly where I want it and not just going with it because it worked in the previous image. But I think this is a really good one. Bonjour from Canada. Hello, someone who likes games. Someone who likes games is asking, where's the music from? The music, I'm going to show you my Spotify playlist, which is my streaming playlist. And this is full of music by DJ Cutman, Game Chops, which is the label run by DJ Cutman. And so go and check them out if you're interested in this music. I don't know exactly what song you asked about, unfortunately, because I wasn't looking at that. So, yeah. There you go. Oh, thank you, Nina. Does it look like an action figure? I feel like an action figure in some of these, and it's amazing. And I love this one too. So thank you guys. Let's see if... Nah, that's too much. I'm gonna actually just undo that because I don't want to mess with it too much. Let's see if the very brightest can go up a little bit. That's not really doing anything there. I'm gonna look at whites. Oh, I see. Having the whites low is what's keeping the sky, the detail in the sky. So, okay. I think I'm gonna keep all these settings for now, and if I make additional fine adjustments, it'll probably be in Photoshop, because after all this is saved, you know, it's kind of like starting fresh on making new adjustments, and it's almost like zooming in on your adjustment sliders, so that's really nice. Yeah, Cutman is awesome. Scarlet Moth is asking, do I hook up 2 webcams for my video? Yes. I have basically an overhead cam over my work area, and I have a face cam, and then I'll adjust them as necessary. I also have a third camera that is used sometimes, and that's just so that I can put a camera in different spots without having to like disassemble the 2 main ones. So I have 2 main ones all the time, and then I have an extra one that I occasionally use instead. Oh, hey Link fan, welcome! We're editing photos of Samus, and I'm feeling like an action figure, and I actually really, really like all of these adjustments, and I don't feel the need to change anything. Let's look at... Nah, that's good. It is good. Maybe I won't make it as bright as in the last one, but that, or as dark, but that looks good. Okay. So boom, this one is ready to go. Oh, thank you so much, Link fan. Oh, I think that my... There it is. Link fan donated $20. Oh, okay. Were these... Yes. There it is. Scarlet Moth has the paper tape. So I replayed one because I didn't hear it in time. So there we go. Alright, thank you both so much for the tips and for supporting our stream. And LinkFan is editing a video. That's wonderful. I'm definitely plopping the booty in this one. That's right. It just makes the posture so much better, which is something I realized that I struggle with, especially after a full day of wearing all of this. Now, I think that the lighting is more similar to this photo than it is to the ones we were just looking at. So rather than hitting previous, I'm going back to this photo and I'm going to copy and paste the settings that we're looking at. So I'm going to hit copy here. Check all, which means it's just gonna copy everything and hit copy. I'm gonna think if there's anything I want to. I'm gonna say no transform and no crop because I don't remember. So those are the only things that aren't gonna be copied. Everything else, color, split toning, adjustments, clarity, everything else is being copied right now. So copy from there and paste to here. Alright, well this is not exactly what I want, but now I know that. I think it's because the light was going down so quickly as we were doing these that there's, even though there wasn't like tons and tons of time passing between each one of these, the light was changing very quickly and rapidly, and so each photo came out a little bit different and needs its own changes that way. Someone who likes games says, Heidi, do you do makeup in your cosplays when the character looks relatively similar to you? Yes, I use makeup all the time, always. Yeah, these settings just aren't right for this photo. I just did previous, which took the settings from this other photo that we just finished, and it's no good. It's no good, none of it, so we're starting over. Let's see what auto does for us. Okay, auto is actually not acting up too much today, so I talked about auto like it was a horrible tool, but it's actually been doing okay for us. We're still making our own changes, but it's putting us in the right, kind of in the right ballpark. White's just going to be lower here. It's just not going to be the same type of photo where you can get a really clean, like bright white spot and a perfect, you know, dark black spot. That looks pretty good though. That didn't take too much effort. Well, let's see if any kind of, I think a really slight rotation makes my body slightly more upright and makes the figure slightly more centered. So that is about as much rotation as that needs. Cool. This is Lightroom that we're using. LinkFan, the real MVP. Did I miss something? Oh my gosh, LinkFan! Oh my gosh, I did miss something! Holy crap! Let me replay that. How did I not see that? Or maybe it just hasn't appeared yet here. Oh, you're so awesome, LinkFan! So that has to be the sword. I don't know how maybe my song is just too loud. Hopefully you guys can still hear this. There it is, yes, LinkFan bought Arwen's Hadafang sword. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So as I've talked about in previous streams, Arwen from Lord of the Rings is gonna be my next cosplay, and I found the sword on Amazon, and LinkFan just bought it. So thank you so much, LinkFan. You are a boss. You are amazing. Thank you for always supporting these streams and for coming here and buying me beautiful, pretty toys for photo shoots. So thank you. That I can't wait. I can't wait. I feel like at this point, like, owe you a whole cosplay, LinkFan. You let me know. Oh, but yes, I'm not gonna mess with those either. Well, maybe vibrance, it's just a tiny bit. No, that's too much. Is it doing anything for me? It's doing a little bit for me, but I'll leave it low. Scarlet Moth asking, am I going to be making her riding coat? Yes, I officially decided that's my next design, or next cosplay, is I'm making the costume that she wears when the very first scene she appears in, where she shows up and takes the injured Frodo back to Rivendell, and everything is fine and good after that. But she's a badass. She shows up and gets to be a badass, and I love it, and I can't wait to do it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that photo shoot. Thank you so much, Link fan, making my dreams reality. So I'm lowering, once again, kind of lowering contrast, lowering the highlights and raising the shadows just a little bit. But I think it's really working out for creating these right balances. We'll start with hue again as we kind of adjust colors towards you know, a certain balance. Will I get Arwen's horse too? Oh, Link fan says I can never ask for anything back. That's such a wonderful attitude. Well, I just want you to know how meaningful it is to me, and that I hope you like what I'm doing already. I know you're a Link fan, so how about at some point I'll do a Link cosplay, which is something I already want to do, and you already know I want to do that, so that could be good, right? Sorry, someone asked, Gabe Cheshire said, will I get Arwen's horse too to go super authentic? If I could do a photo shoot with a horse, that would be pretty neat. I don't know that I can, but at the very least I have a Frodo cosplayer that I can do some shoots with that I think we could do, like, kind of recreating some interesting moments and stuff from that scene. So, I don't know exactly, but I'd like to do a shoot with a Strider and with Frodo, or with multiples, because I'm into that. So once again, just making small changes in color balancing, and I think it's working really well. I like these magentas, and I'm kind of going for the same colors. As you can see, like, there's just certain ones that work really well. That one I don't really want up. So with all of these edits, I'm kind of leaning towards the same. That's very good, because it's, again, bringing the red tones of the face more out of the shadows. I don't think most of the others need anything. So I am kind of mostly going towards the same color balances each time, but that's just what's really, really working well for our, you know, our situation here in this photo, and the lighting that we had, and the colors of the costume, and the colors of the environment. I think that this is what's really working for us. So yeah, any sort of vignette is going to look really drastic on this, so we'll keep it really low, but I think that having a little bit of it, maybe just 10, is nice, because you get the little bit of like the dark fading toward the edges here. Scarlet Moth? Yeah, do it. You can make AON. Yeah, I just want all of my friends to cosplay Lord of the Rings with me, and I feel like that one is also just such a wonderful, like, kind of a staple of fantasy, and so many people are Lord of the Rings fans. I feel like we could start a trend. I could probably get a group together if I just beg everyone enough, because I feel like so many of my friends are like, oh, well, I've always wanted to do some character from that. So yeah, I just want everybody to cosplay from Lord of the Rings with me now. This is the next thing. Let's make it happen. Alright, this photo is also really badass looking. That is too much, but that's okay. Let's see whether these settings can be applied. So I'm going to copy these, got everything the same, and we'll see if we can apply them. We're getting really close to the end here. I have like 3 more photos that I'm gonna work on tonight. Oh, this is just... No. It needs its own... What other photos do we have here? Yeah, the light was going down so rapidly that towards the end of these... That's interesting, but not what I want. So, okay. So both of these are just going to have to be done, either individually or based off each other. But yeah, just so many things changing at once. Like with the lighting, the sun just going down so quickly that the same settings can't apply in that quick of succession. I don't know, now that I'm looking at this one, compared to all the beautiful other ones we've done, like, it just looks kind of... Like, it's not in focus everywhere. I feel like it's in focus enough up here, but it's not really down here. It's kind of weird. I'm not as crazy about it, though. I'm not as crazy about these end ones in general, compared to how awesome the other photos were. And this one was taken in the stairwell on the way back up. I don't know, now that I'm looking at these, like, I just feel like we've had so many killer shots, especially in this, like, section here at the end. It displays weirdly before it. There it goes. Gets to the fully resolved version. I don't know, I'm just not as into the ones at the end. Maybe this one only. Maybe I'll edit this one. But I just feel somewhat less inspired compared to the other ones. Link fan is heading out. Well, thanks for stopping by, man. Thank you for the Arwen sword that will be coming very shortly to my next cosplay thread. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait to get that and show everybody what's up. So yeah, I think I'll probably edit this one and maybe the next one, and I'm just gonna not edit the one because this one we did a series of stairwell shots, and I can talk about that a little bit. One of my friends specializes in doing like interesting shoots that he does a lot more like photo manipulation and like creating backdrops and like changing stuff. So although he's someone that I also shot with on the beach, we went and shot in the stairwell on the way back up at the very, very end. And so we took those photos, and that's something that I definitely expect him to do something cool and interesting with because he knows how to do that kind of stuff. I don't really feel that doesn't come naturally to me, and I don't really have any experience with that kind of thing. So I'm less interested in really manipulating and like creating backgrounds and compositing and stuff like that. So I probably won't do anything with that last photo realistically, just because it's not the same style as the rest of these, and I just don't have a plan for it. But I am interested and looking forward to seeing a lot of the things that he shot in that stairwell, because I think that he does have a plan for them and will do something very cool with them. So, you know, everybody has their own style, and I'm way more at home here with natural lighting and these kind of outdoor environments. Yeah, vibrance is not what I need right now. Maybe a little bit of clarity. Not too much. Yeah, that helps. Bringing the highlights down really shows you kind of how much information the camera did pick up from the kind of brighter reflection on the water, stuff like that, those areas. And so this, in the background here, there's a graph where I'm manipulating this line, but there's also, like, you can see, like, kind of these shaded area where my mouse is. This is a map of the information in this image. So, like, there's lots of dark tones and fewer of these tones. Or rather, like, there's fewer information present or something. It's hard to describe, but it kind of can serve as a guide for, like, how the balance of values in the image is arranged. And then you can kind of use it to help you make these decisions. Anyway, like I said, I'm not an expert on any of this. I just like to move the sliders around and figure out how it works. Okay, this one actually did turn out pretty nice and interesting now that I've got my exposure settings in a better place. Hey guys, hey small puppo. Yeah, this one isn't quite as dynamic of a pose, and the weird, I don't know, there's like a weird focus issue, but I still like it. I don't know, it's hard to describe. Whatever, I'm here, I've come so far. I want to just kind of wrap up the photos that I did choose. Although I'll probably pass on doing that very last one. Oh, let's start with Hugh again. I think moving this towards magenta really helps the suit reflect more of the colors of the environment, which is nice. It's not really a noticeable difference in anything. Okay. I think that's pretty good for what this is. It's just not my favorite photo out of these, and I don't want to spend tons and tons of time on it if it's not my favorite. Because I have so many others that I like so much more. Alright, let's see how we do applying these settings to the next one, and that might be our last one. Huh. That's interesting. I want to change some things, but that's not bad. Okay. First of all, clarity does not need to be on this one, and I can see the weird edges on it. Vibrance does help a little bit, though. This one's weird because the lighting was so low that, because this was like, I think the last shot. This is the last shot that we got outside that I thought was worth keeping at all. And when the lighting gets so low that you were kind of like fighting to see everything, to pick up all of the detail, it's just harder to keep all the colors and everything in the image. This is pretty good. I think this is... It's cute enough. Yeah, you lose a little bit of like the range of contrast, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Because you have to compensate so much for the lack of light that like you can't use the full range of values as easily. Anyway. This is why it helps to have light if you want to shoot in natural light. Yeah, I actually do like what I did with the colors in the end in this one. It just needs a little bit of like personal attention, I guess. I'm starting to get restless because I've been sitting here for so long, but this is my last photo, and so I can take the time to make it look decent. Adding the vignetting as well as bringing the detail back to these sections that were just kind of blown out. So that's pretty nice. Alright, well I think that's about it for me for today. Let me check back in with the chat and see what I missed here. Yeah, there's a lot to tinker with here, Autumn Days. This is Lightroom. It's one of the popular photo editing. This one is really truly designed for photos. Like Photoshop is good for graphics of all different types, but Lightroom is really designed to work with photos. So there's a lot to mess with here, and I still have a lot to learn, but I don't know, I feel like I made some educated decisions here. Hopefully you guys agree. I did my very best. So these photos are, before today's stream, they were totally unedited. So you guys are looking at like like how it, well, now you're looking at the edited colors and kind of brightness and contrast and those kinds of adjustments. But I haven't made any like fine adjustments in Photoshop where I'm like manipulating the skin or I don't know, doing other like little adjustments to like specific spots. But I do kind of want to go back through them so you can see it. So my very favorites from today's edits are going to end up, I'm gonna load them into Photoshop and then kind of revisit whichever like the top few are, and then decide if I need to make any small changes to like, I don't know, get weird wrinkles, or I guess I really don't need to clean up my skin given the fact that it's intentionally dirty. But yeah, I guess we don't have to look at every single one of these since a lot of them are the same. I'll just go faster. The atrium shots are nice, or they're nice enough. I really like this section. And otherwise, I think the standouts from the shoot are really the outdoor golden hour shots, which are these last couple. This one is one of my favorites that everybody had their strongest reactions to, it felt like. I also really like this one. It kind of takes Lightroom a minute to like render them, so they look a little bit odd when you scroll through them too quickly, but I think this is another winner. So this one and the other ones that I pointed out are probably going to go into Photoshop, and then I'll make any kind of like fine-tune adjustments to them. But that's it. That's what we did today. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for like 2.5 hours of me sliding things around and saying, look, little tiny things are changing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching and chatting, and I really like these, and I'm really happy with what we've got here, and looking forward to turning this into something I can show on like Instagram and Twitter, and I'm sure I'll end up posting quite a few of these. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I might do more of these types of streams in the future. Probably not all the time. I just wasn't feeling like making anything or being on camera today because I'm just still relaxing from Katsucon. But thanks for joining me. I am going to do more of my own photos from here on out, so hopefully I can get better at this. And you will see much more of this type of thing in the future. Alright, well, that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out. Here's my weird OBS again. And switching to end slate. Good night, everybody. I will talk to you later. Bye.